talks, CEO insights, success stories, value markets, and financial education. This is the CEO Show. Hosted by Dan. Business Minds, pioneering and inspiring entrepreneurs. Creative talks, CEO insights, success stories, value markets, and financial education. This is the CEO Show. Hosted by Dan. Business Minds, pioneering and inspiring entrepreneurs. Creative talks, CEO insights, success stories, value markets, and financial education. This is the CEO Show. Hosted by Dan. Business Minds, pioneering and inspiring entrepreneurs. Creative talks, CEO insights, success stories, value markets, and financial education. This is the CEO Show. Hosted by Dan. Business Minds, pioneering and inspiring entrepreneurs. Creative talks, CEO insights, success stories, value markets, and financial education. This is the CEO Show. Hosted by Dan. Business Minds, pioneering and inspiring entrepreneurs. Creative talks, CEO insights, success stories, value markets, and financial education. This is the CEO Show. Hosted by Dan. Business Minds, pioneering and inspiring entrepreneurs. Creative talks, CEO insights, success stories, value markets, and financial education. This is the CEO Show. Hosted by Dan. Business Minds, pioneering and inspiring entrepreneurs. Creative talks, CEO insights, success stories, value markets, and financial education. This is the CEO Show. Hosted by Dan. Business Minds, pioneering and inspiring entrepreneurs. Creative talks, CEO insights, success stories, value markets, and financial education. This is the CEO Show. Hosted by Dan. Business Minds, pioneering and inspiring entrepreneurs. Creative talks, CEO insights, success stories, value markets, and financial education. This is the CEO Show. Hosted by Dan. Business Minds, pioneering and inspiring entrepreneurs. Creative talks, CEO insights, success stories, value markets, and financial education. This is the CEO Show. Hosted by Dan.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Again, welcome to the CEO Show. Remember, this is a show that always comes to you every Tuesday from 7:30 to 9. This is a show that always looks forward to bring you different businessmen and women from different businesses and different industries. These are trailblazers who are going to do three things. Number one, they are going to inspire you, they are going to educate you, and also provide insights. For anybody that is looking forward to venture into any kind of business, and also people who are running different ventures in different businesses, this is the right show for you. This is a show that always comes to you to motivate you, to inspire you, to bring insights, and also to be very educated. Remember, I am your host, Dan. Tonight is another episode, the 24th episode, and to where we are, it is all credit to you, our loving viewer, for always supporting and always being part of this conversation every Tuesday. It always gets better because you are here. Tonight is another amazing episode with one great person that a lot of you have been asking us to bring him on this particular show. And this is somebody that I'm sure has inspired you in one way or another, either by deed, either by action, or by what they do. Talk of diesel power. If you don't fuel at diesel power, then we wonder, where do you fuel at? Tonight's guest is none other but Mr. Collins Kibet Boinett, who is the founder and also the CEO. But remember, he doesn't like to be called the CEO. He likes to be called the team leader, employee 001 of Diesel Power. And tonight he's going to talk about his experience. And basically, we are so keen to learn where he started. If you're ready to listen to this conversation, you can't afford to miss. But remember, this is a conversation that comes to you on Facebook and also YouTube. And remember, we're also live on TikTok. For us to know that you're watching and also you're part of this conversation, don't forget to comment on the comment section and tell us where you're watching us from, and also what is your expectation of this particular show. And remember, if you have a question for our guest tonight, don't forget to ask on the comment section, so that at the tail end of this particular episode, it will be in a position to respond. And remember to subscribe, remember to share, remember to tag somebody for them to know that you're watching, and also, most importantly, for us to know that you're part of this great episode. Mr. CK, karibu.
Asante sana.
Okay, we've been looking forward to have you. We've had Diesel Power for quite a very long time, but a lot of people have been looking forward to have this show. You're one person that probably might not ask you who is Collins Kibet, but for our viewers, just introduce yourself.
Thank you so much, Dan, for this opportunity that you gave me. And also as a brand, Diesel Power, would like to engage with the community, engage with the youth, engage with the many people who are even following us online now.
Okay.
And I believe it has been a journey. So as Collins, I'm an old man now, I'm 48 years old.
Okay.
Yes,
Life begins at 40.
Yes, and now life begins at 40.
Okay.
Yes, I went to business quite young. Went to school quite late. So that is me. I have a family. I have 3 children.
Okay.
Yes.
How is the connection now? You went to school very late and you went into business very young.
Yes.
How old was it, and how young was it? How old were you when you started school?
Okay.
Or how old to make it?
In schooling, I mean now going to campus.
Okay,
college.
okay.
Yes, but of course the basic education I went early, but I chose the path of business
Okay.
quite early also in life.
Okay.
Yes.
Now, I'm so keen to learn also and understand the young Collins Boinett who was in high school or probably even primary. Were you this kind of, when people are being asked, what do you want to grow up? What do you want to do when you grow up? What was the answer from you?
Personally, I think everyone wanted to be a pilot during our times because you like just to be seen flying. And things change. When you realize that math is not for you, by the time, just like doctors, when they're starting in Form 1,
Okay.
they want to be doctors. By the time they're in Form 4, they are the patients.
They're already sick.
They're already sick.
They don't want any association.
They don't want any association with that to be a
Very
doctor.
true, very true. Okay, now you went to Compass.
Yes.
What did you pursue?
Okay, I pursued my undergraduate in marketing management and also an MBA in marketing management.
Okay.
Yes, and before that, I had done a diploma
Okay.
in the same field, marketing management.
Okay.
Yes.
Now, having this knowledge and also this passion of getting into business, as young as you were at that time, was there anything related to business that you were practicing other than your education at your younger age?
Yeah, when I was young, I did my first, I started in 1996. Okay, if I take you back a bit, is that when we were in high school, my father was running a petrol station,
Okay.
which was ESO by that time. So during closure of school, we'd come and sell at the pump. So that passion of selling oil started in me quite early.
Okay.
So by the time I was finishing high school, my parents wanted to take me to school. In fact, my dad took me to Baraton. And I brought back the same forms. After 3 days, he saw them in the same place. He realized this guy is not interested in
Going to school.
going to school. But I promised him that I'll go back,
Okay.
of which I kept my promise.
Okay. So at that point, immediately you were still working at your father's.
Yes, I was still an
petrol
employee.
station. Okay. Were you being paid?
Yes, I was being paid. In fact, our first salary was 500 shillings, me and my brother.
Per month.
And it excited us a lot.
Okay.
Then the second month, it became little. So it went to 2,500.
So you had to bargain with Mzee that.
No, we did bargain.
Uh-huh.
I think we worked for less days the first time,
Uh-huh.
the first month. So the second month, it went to 2,500. And we realized it was becoming again little. So after that now is when we realize now responsibilities come with
Very true.
the more you get it, the less it becomes.
Okay.
Yes.
Now, at what point did you have this vision of starting your own venture and running your own race, forgetting now what your dad was doing? Because it is, we have a lot of people who is, you could have chosen to stick to your dad's business and run with it, become a manager and also become a partner to the same. But now you crafted your own way and crafted your own path. How did you do it, and what is it that inspired you to run your own?
Thank you for asking that question. It started when I was an employee of my dad, and customers were coming to buy fuel in bulk because we had got some business of bulk called Eldoret Petroleum Services. Then me and a friend of mine called Ben Ruto, we saw an opportunity in selling fuel to people in drums. So by 1996 is when I saw, hey, if I try taking this fuel closer to the people, I can make a coin. So I would maximize my lunch hour. The pickup was for my father. So when it gets to exactly 1, the opportunity cost, I would use that time to rush, take it to Kaptagat and come back. By 2 o'clock, my father even could not know that
You left and came
I've
back.
left, I've left the
and made
business
business.
and made business.
Okay.
So I never, as in, compromised my work ethic, serving my dad and also running my business.
Okay.
Yes.
And I think we can now move to departure now to diesel power specifically. But before you go to the same about now starting your own company, that was around 1996, as you mentioned at some point.
The drum business.
Yeah. Let me just acknowledge, we have, ladies and gentlemen, remember our guest tonight is Mr. Collins Kibet Boinett, who is the CEO and also the team leader of Diesel Power. And it's just started, and we are getting, so just to acknowledge our viewers who are coming in, DK Memusi is watching. We have Memusi saying that Tuko locked. We have Tirop who is saying is watching. Caleb Kiptoa saying is Nairobi, is Hone. Moses Koima all the way from the US. Philo Lama, Walter, Kipchirchir Collins also saying Salimia huyu rafiki yangu. We have Johnny Kemboy who is watching. Kelly Kibore who is following. Amos Kibi, Tuko Huko. And then also we have a lot of you are coming in. Please tell us where you're watching from. And also remember, this is a show that inspires you. It brings insights and also very, very educative. And also you have Palugetu, we say, great minds, we are learning from your footsteps and so on. So ladies and gentlemen, let's keep the conversation. CK, now talking about selling the drums, and this is within an hour, running to Kaptagat, disposing, coming back. How are the margins and what were you making at that point?
Oh, for clarity, it was just delivery. I had employed someone to do the selling.
Okay.
So this 1 hour was just to make sure that I deliver, drop them and come back.
Okay.
Yes.
That was now purely diesel.
Just purely diesel.
Okay. Now, at what point now did you find that I think I need to venture into this and converted and start your own venture?
There's a friend of mine called Osea Kerim, who had a bigger space in Cherangani. And by the way, when you're starting a business, you're still working as a solo. In fact, I didn't have a company by then. Our company we registered in 2001,
Okay.
of which, in fact, we desire to celebrate maybe a silver jubilee in the next few years when we turn 25. So it gave me an opportunity to sell now in more drums, because in Kaptagat or a place called Huru, there were fewer and it was a small space.
Okay.
And from there now, the idea now of doing a station started now building in my mind.
Okay.
And within a very short time, we went to Lesos, got a station which was for ESO. And life has gone on from there. But also with the support of many people. Like
Okay.
that station was given by a lady called Susan Muhuri, who was running, or she was the territory manager of ESO Kenya
Okay.
that time.
Okay.
So she saw the aggressiveness in me and saw that maybe I had the capacity to run it.
Okay.
Yes.
Now, initial, because a lot of young people always have a challenge. When we talk about business, somebody will talk about now the issues of capital. Now, at that time, it means that you had built up your own capital.
For information, I always don't agree with the issue of capital.
Yes.
Capital is always in your mind, your idea. Because my first capital even was borrowed from a friend called James Chumba. He gave me a check from Barclays Bank, I can't forget, of 9,200 for the 2 drums, which I started with. So it's always the idea you have. Once you have an idea, you can approach friends and they support you. And once they support you, you also make sure that you pay back.
Okay.
And up to now, I believe he's getting dividends. He's still my friend to date.
Okay.
Yes.
That's a good one. It means having good friends,
Yes.
for that matter. Now, departure from running, at that time, were you still running your father's?
Yes, I was still an employee of my father.
You were still an employee?
Yes, that's what
When
I
did
used
you
to
resign?
dash and come back.
When did you resign?
I resigned now once we went to Lesos, and the same thing of capital. Like Susan Mori, whom I still give credit to her, is she gave me what you call back-to-back. You are given products, you sell, and then you pay back.
Okay.
Once you have sold.
After
After disposing.
Yeah.
So that's how we built our capital.
Okay. And now you started your own.
Yes, by 2001 now,
You registered.
I registered now the company formally.
Diesel power.
Yes, because my father was insisting on being compliant, especially on taxes. So I started filing my first taxes in 1998, if I'm not wrong, under my name.
Under your name.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Now, the first day you've registered your company, you have your own, because I was keen also to know that at what point did you resign from your father's, because that departure is also very important. How was the feeling? You've registered your own company. You are running your own company under your name. CR12, it's under...
Even I didn't know what CR12 is that time.
Okay, it's now under Collins. How was the feeling, and did it meet your passion to become who you are today?
Okay, I was excited, especially having my own company now, Diesel Powers in. And people always also would like to ask, why Diesel Power? It was the power behind the diesel, because I saw diesel transforming my life from a survivor to somewhere at least I could afford to buy a car, buy a property, develop. So that's how now Diesel Power came up. And my father still held me for a short time. I was still in his salary for some time. Even when I had my own company, I was still drawing some small salary from him. But at some point he told me, no, I think you are good to go. You can be on your own now.
Okay. How was your first experience being on your own and running your own?
I didn't feel the shift. I didn't feel it.
It was very smooth.
It was very smooth.
Now
I got some soft landing. In fact, I didn't know even that I've been weaned. Yes.
Okay. That was now, which one was your first station under Diesel Power?
It was Lesos.
Okay.
Or
Now
Lesos.
it was converted from...
From Collins, it
from
just shifted
ESO,
to Diesel Power. Yes. No, the brand was still ESO. It was a franchise.
Oh,
So we were buying products solely from ESO.
and now running
As Collins, then now Diesel Power.
okay. Now people are now seeing all the successes, and sometimes do you have a story of now failing and rebranding again and doing something else?
Yes, failing has been part of my journey. In fact, I always mention to my close friends that even our colleagues have failed twice, in 2005 and in 2008. And the bigger you are, the bigger you fall. So
The louder the bang.
the louder the bang. When people will turn and say, who is this who has gone down?
What happened in 2005?
We went to Lokchogyo. So when there was peace in Sudan, Lukichogi died a natural death. Then now we went to Sudan, of which things didn't go well. We invested, we burnt our fingers, we lost everything.
That is now you shifted the company to South Sudan?
I didn't shift. We borrowed money from Kenya to develop Southern Sudan. And we invested heavily, over 30 million shillings. And we lost everything. I went to depression for information.
The last coin?
We came back with nothing, zero, with negative. We were negative 21 million. Negative.
Now coming back to Kenya and you are negative, what was happening? What was it running?
So I'm telling you, I went to depression. I went down because it was not an easy experience. Yes, but I recovered very fast. At least we had some few assets which we disposed, and we bounced back. And I became now more cautious and more wiser. And now the motivation of going back to school. Because when I did a soul search, I realized maybe I had limitations on education.
Now, because I'm also keen on the same, now you invested heavily in South Sudan and reading from the same, because in every story of failing and failure for that fact, we always come up with a lot of lessons. What are some of the lessons that came out of this failure that you encountered?
I profited from it. Napoleon Hill always says profiting from failure, whereby you have to look at this failure and ask yourself, what made me fail? You see, as I'm talking about knowledge, I didn't even do a research. I didn't do a market research on what I was going into. I didn't do a visibility study. So I just went full of energy and...
with excitement?
With excitement. I was young. I would drive all the way from here to Juba.
Okay.
By road.
Okay.
Yes.
And immediately everything was gone?
Everything was gone and on borrowed money. Not on reserves, but on borrowed capital.
Okay.
Yes.
Now coming up, because probably we might even be talking to someone who has failed in business. Somebody has borrowed a lot of money and they have invested to a white elephant kind of business. And tomorrow the lender is here probably, and somebody might be watching and is in a serious kind of depression, as you say. How can you advise now to come out of this depression and to remember that after failing there is still life out of this? Because we are dealing with a generation that probably a lot of people are suicidal for that matter, because the economic times that we are in are tough and what have you. Now, talking to this young person, what is it that you can tell them now about coming out of failure?
One of the most critical parts is admitting your position. Before you write down on your liabilities and accept that you are down, you'll still be on denial. You may understand the 4 stages of loss. People normally go from denial to anger to negotiation until you accept. So if you're still on denial, you'll still want to maintain your status quo. You could be having a car which is on credit, but you still want people and the young guys to know that you're doing well. But in reality, you're still going down the grave.
Very true.
So the first thing is to acknowledge first and write down all your debts. Because when you're borrowing, many times you may not be keen to acknowledge your debts. So you bury your head like an ostrich in the sand. So you should first acknowledge. Number 2, talk it out. And tell people, tell your friends, tell your family, hey guys, I'm doing bad. So once you do that, they'll be able even to encourage you. I always have a story of a friend of mine called Mrefu. His other name is, I'll give you his other name. He's called Mrefu. He wanted to vie for politics. He found me in Oasis, and I was very, very down. In fact, I had walked all the way from my home to go and buy chicken. And he told me, Collins, what is it I'm hearing about you? I told him, it is what it is. I'm down there. He told me in my native language that if you have gone to Lodwar, there are these lagers. You know, the lagers which are in geography?
Yeah.
So he told me, normally water doesn't look for a new road or a new route. It will still come back on the same
route.
On the same route.
True.
So keep heart. It will come back again. It didn't make sense to me that time, but at least that statement.
But it was a tap on your back.
It was a tap on my back, and it stuck on me. It's called Chepkelat. So up to now, I tell people that even that word of encouragement, when you encourage someone that don't give up. I remember when a pastor friend of mine called Mutai, we met in KCB. He told me, Collins, because everyone heard about it. What's it I'm hearing about? Because all our stations went dry. We had no stock, we had no fuel. So definitely people will say, what happened to this station?
Yeah.
But we were lucky, we were not branded. We were still Kangaroo. If it was now, I think the story would be different. I would not be here even talking with you because...
Very true, very true.
Yes.
Okay.
So you need to get courage. You need to face people who have your money, talk to them, don't switch off your phone. The shortest shortcut to the grave is running away from your creditors. Because people now will look for all means. They'll go to the police station, they'll tell people. Nowadays with social media, you'll find yourself in social media. So face them and talk to them and rearrange. If it's a bank loan, you restructure. You talk to them.
Okay.
Because I still appreciate KCB. KCB never wrote me a letter, but there are some banks who wrote me letters because we had loans in several banks. So.
Okay.
But KCB, we never got even one letter.
Okay.
But by the time we're recovering, they ask me, Collins, what happened? I'm telling them, story for another day.
Okay.
They'll watch this one day.
That's perfect. Now dusting up and reviving yourself and now getting to recollect yourself from now failure to now rebranding yourself and telling yourself that I can't give up. I can't die to depression. What was the first step now venturing into the next season? Let me call it the next season of business.
The next phase.
The next phase of business.
You see, when we were on our denial stage and negotiating stage, we wanted to run away from energy. So one of our staff called Charles Kipserem met us with Jimmy Wakaimba and we were discussing in the office, we want to do hardware, we want to do what, we want to do tires. He told me, Collins, all these things you're talking, forget about it. Let's focus on our energy sector.
The same industry.
I said, I think you're making a point. He told me, we have made X amount of money today. I said, yeah, that's what we've made, yes. I dusted. And I told my friend Jimmy, we are quitting this business of looking for security firms or what have you. Let's go back to energy. So it was a very fast decision to make, to focus now. And we sold a property in Juakali, we sold a lorry, and we reinvested now to the energy sector. So at least we had some fuel, kidogo. And things turned around.
Okay.
And for clarity, how we bounced back was energy that time, it was not EPRA. So when prices started coming down, there was no capping. So we took advantage of the margins. If you remember in 2008, fuel had gone up to 135, super.
Sure.
And they started coming down very fast.
Very fast.
Some companies went under, especially multinational, the guys who were importing, but to the benefit of the locals. So that's how we turned around very fast.
Okay. Now, talking about now expansion, you've grown over time to where you are currently. And I'm always very keen when it comes to expansion, because any business success might be attributed either to expansion, either in branches and what have you, or intensively investing in the same business. But yourself, currently you have how many stations?
Our challenge is we don't count our cows, even children.
We say sere.
We say sere. So
Okay, but there are a number. What is it that informs your growth?
Number one, yes, it's about franchising. We went to a model of franchising, whereby we get an existing station, we brand it, and we start.
Okay.
In fact, our last station to do building, which we might not do for the next maybe 5 years, was the Jerusalem one. Because it's capital intensive, the processes are very long. But many times there's a thin line between ambition and greed. So at times you are ambitious, which is okay, and at times you are greedy of wanting everything. Okay. So
you want
I don't know that I'm answering your question.
To belong, you want everything to belong
to you.
Okay. How do you draw the line?
You should listen to your inner self, because you should be listening to your body and also your conscience. Because many times, as young as we are, we want to grow very fast. Okay. We want to make a lot of money. Okay. But if you can understand yourself and also have an analyst, because at the moment we have consultants who look at our books even before making a move. They analyze it and tell you no more borrowing, or this move is okay, it will change X to Y, it will change your model. Okay. So we have consultants also who help us and guide us in analyzing our It's about analytics.
Okay.
The data. Yeah.
Now, in every business, sometimes you find that we're also speaking to SMEs and young people in business, and sometimes it's very important to professionalize the business. And somebody say that as much as the business is as small as you think it is, it's also important. It's always very important to get the services of a consultants and what have you. At what point do you get to say that this is the right time that I need an accountant, I need an HR manager? At what point can you now professionalize any kind of business?
Thank you for asking that question. I forgot to mention to you one challenge about knowledge, especially education. You see, when you're not so much exposed to knowledge, some things may not be of importance to you.
Okay.
The term a consultant may not make sense to you. The term a management accountant may not make sense to you. The term an internal auditor may not make sense. But now when you expose yourself now to school now, is when you realize, aha, I need this. Aha, I need this. So many a times, if you know why you're going to school, most of the things I came to implement after going to school, now to realize, oh, I need a management accountant. I need a consultant. Or we need an HR person. We need internal auditor. So now you realize that you need more of controls and leadership than just assuming that everything is okay. Or trusting your gut. Sometimes you say, I know everything is okay. Or also becoming suspicious of everyone. Saying, this guy is a thief, ooh, and a neighbor too. You know, because you're not in charge of your business.
Very true.
So either you are over trusting or over suspicious. So you are in charge of what you're doing.
Okay. Now, at what, because the question was like, at what point now can you say in any business?
Oh yes,
Yeah.
from the start. When you start even a small business, you need an accountant. At least I was lucky to have known that knowledge when I just started Diesel Power. Yes.
Okay.
We employed, she was called Alice Choge. That's our first employee to employ just to do accounts. And there was no interview even. I asked her, do you know QuickBooks? Because I had heard that QuickBooks is a good accounting system. She said yes. I told her, okay, fine. There is an office, there is a lap, a desktop. And I started just throwing to her every paper which I got, and she did the accounting. So we need an accountant from the start of your business. Especially nowadays, we need more compliance on taxation. But many people want to be so big to need an accountant. But the bigger you are, the more accountants you need. The more even internal auditor you need. The more even maybe external auditor you need. So for structures, depending now on your size, as you grow, you need now to put more structures so that you relieve yourself from the operations, you go up to strategic, so that you don't struggle handling people and yet an HR person. And you can still outsource. You don't even have to have one in-house. You can outsource most of the, even an accountant. Sometimes I tell people you can have 3 of you having one accountant. You don't have to have one accountant and you have one shop.
Very true.
If you have 3 small shops, get one accountant. Musanya, you pay him.
Okay, leading to the same now, and talk about accountancy and also financial management in any business, because that's a very critical issue. There are a lot of businesses always have a challenge when it comes to financial management. And you're somebody that you borrowed loan, you failed, you at some point you had issues with probably some banks and back in the days. But now, are you an equity investor or are you a debt investor? Because there are some people who always are risk averse completely, and there are some who are takers for that matter. But how can you say about yourself? Are you somebody who considers loans for expansion?
I'm a guy of debt capital. All our structures, we have taken loans.
Okay.
As I had mentioned earlier on that, okay, at times it may head south because like 2022, we got a challenge with energy. There was no fuel. It almost hit us hard because most of the even working capital we had is borrowed.
Okay.
So we are mostly on borrowing.
Okay.
You keep borrowing, but at some point we want to go slow.
Okay.
and then now let the business now run itself.
Okay. Now, speaking to somebody about now lending, because sometimes you find that we always have options. These banks are very lucrative. They'll come to you whenever they see that you are doing business good. They'll send beautiful ladies to come and convince you on how lucrative the loans are. And then now when it's come now to collection, they'll send some serious guys now to come and collect. And even at some point, some businesses will be forced to close down. What are the critical things that one needs to consider when making that decision when they need debt financing?
Debt financing, number one is the need and the market. Because many times you may borrow, having capacity to borrow more, and yet the need is small. So borrow according to your needs. And cash flow, cash flow, cash flow. That's what I always say to people, that you should know your cash flow. From your in and out, do you retain anything? Because if your out is more than your in, it means you'll go down anytime soon. So cash flow is very key. Understanding also having financial literacy is very key. And also listening to that accountant, because they should be able to analyze your books and tell you, because there are so many tools of analyzing a business, like the Z test. If you go to managerial economics, there are so many tests. There is gearing ratio, there is a debt ratio. If you have an analyst who can teach you well about the way the health of your business, you can make a very informed decision. That's what I'm saying. Financial literacy is equally very good, so that anyone, and nowadays it's not hard. You can go to YouTube and go for classes. You don't have to go even to a university to understand financial literacy.
Okay. And there is this bondage of, let me call it a bondage in a way. There is what we call mobile lending hubs. And a lot of people are in that bondage. Are you on M-Shwari or Tala or what have you?
I discourage that at all costs. In fact, I don't have any app of borrowing on my phone. In fact, I don't have any internet banking in my phone. Because I'm still somehow reserved on the power of money in your hand. Most of the people make money. Ask anyone to print the M-Pesa statements, and you'll be shocked on how much, even you print yours, you'll be shocked on how much you are spending. And yet every time you're saying you're broke. Why? Because money is always easy on your phone. But if you can go the analog way, whereby if there's that need, you go for it, I think we can get more savers and spenders. So most people go to borrowing, and it becomes a habit. By the way, habits, all of us are habits. Even saving, apart from borrowing, savings is a habit.
True.
So we become a slave of your habit. If you are a saver, you become a saver. If you are someone who just wants to spend, you become a spendthrift. And if you're someone who borrows, even me, I think I was headed there at some point, because I was very good in borrowing. At some point, I had almost 14 loans.
That is on your phone?
No, not on my phone. On banks, just for business.
Now, how did you cut down to a controllable
discipline? Now you have not to discipline yourself. We're still somehow struggling with a few, but we're trying to slow down as much as possible.
Now, we've talked about saving now. There is the issue of investment. There are schools of thought that supports investment. That is, you don't have to save, you have to invest. And there are some school of thought that support saving. What is your school of thought as a person?
My school of thought, which everyone is entitled to their own thoughts.
Very true.
Is that however much you make and you don't save, you'll still be poor. So the best thing is try as much as possible to save. We have M-Shwari and a mobile app. People can even save through M-Shwari. Nowadays, you can transfer money from your phone to the bank. So all of us have these habits. That's why I'm telling you, there's a thin line between ambition and greed, because at times you are so ambitious that you are keen about borrowing that even you don't have time to save. But if you can strike a balance of saving at least, investing a bit, and having some business a bit. So because investment is different from the business. If you can do a ratio of 30, 30, 30, we are not yet there, so that you have at least 30, maybe percent being in your savings, or where you can convert that money into cash very fast, 30% being investments, and 30% being in business, you can be safe.
Okay. As a person, there is something I've also learned about you over time. We talk about now staffing. In your company, you probably more than 200 employees that you have in your company. Now, when you talk about staffing, how do you ensure that you get the right people for the right job? Because we always have a challenge in businesses that people will always get the wrong people for different kind of jobs. And at the end of the day, they bring down the company.
Yes.
Because diesel power probably is not you. It is the people who you work with that makes diesel power what it is. And it's something that you've seriously sold your brand outside there. But now, how do you get the right people for the right job this time and age?
Yes, thank you for that. What we believe in is what we call doing it right first time. I remember we're being taught in total quality management. We sometimes do it wrong from the first day. In HR, we were taught about putting a square peg in a round hole. So we try as much as possible. We have an HR officer, someone whose job is just HR. We do it right. It's all on merit. We don't hire on knowing each other. Even if I know you and your person fails, you'll just get a regret SMS that we regret that you failed. If you pass, we'll take you. So we have a policy, company policy, whereby we are saying we're taking a minimum of this. And also on promotion, we promote on merit. You cannot get someone who failed in school and you're promoting him to be a manager. So we try as much as possible to reward people who have education or people who have knowledge. So that if you have a degree, that you have higher chances of getting a promotion in your company than someone who doesn't. Or even a diploma. A diploma holder has higher chances of growing than without. So we normally encourage people even to read, even internally.
Okay. In scenarios now regarding the same handling about issues with the fraud and also dishonesty among staff, because sometimes you find that you go to a petrol station or any other fuel pump station and you say that I need for 2,000 or probably 1,000, and it's something that some of us have encountered in different petrol stations probably, and you find that you order something for 1,000, then the journey that you expected to have covered, it becomes a problem. In such scenarios, you get complaints. How do you ensure that you satisfy your clientele?
Yes, number one, we try as much as possible to have trusted employees. Integrity is our number one issue. Because if you don't have integrity, you cannot even manage yourself. So we ensure that our staff, as much as possible, they are trusted and they are honest. In fact, honesty is our best policy. Number two, customer complaints, we get them once in a while and we address them immediately. In fact, we have a rule whereby 24 hours will not end without us handling any customer complaint. So we try as much as possible to listen to the customer because it all starts and ends with the customer. Yes. So they come up, but we try to see, is it genuine? We've also had people who fuel and run away. So we meet those types. And also some staff, not the 200 are genuine. You might get one who is a crook.
Very true.
So we investigate, you come and investigate, we have CCTVs, you see, was there any fraud or anything? If there's disciplinary, you discipline the person.
Okay.
If it is pure theft, in fact, we don't give a second chance on theft on a customer.
Okay.
Yes.
Now, moving ahead, now talking about branding. Your company is something that is a company that have been known over time when it comes now to putting your image outside there. And the first thing when we met, we talked about branding. How important is it to maintain branding in a business? And it's something that you practice every day because choice of colors, choice of the logos and what have you, and also marketing, it's something very critical to any business. How important is it for any kind of business to put the right brand outside there?
At times people think that branding is a very big animal, but it's not that big as you might think. Because number one, branding is the person. The brand is the person. If you go to so-and-so Mamawa fruits, She has a brand, Mama Fulani, Mama Lucy Wafuru. That's already a brand.
It's true.
You know, me, I knew Dandan of suits. So you have to build first yourself before even building the brand. So that by the time you're selling now your brand, people know what they are buying. People buy people. People don't buy products. People will buy your product because of the person behind the brand.
True.
If the person behind the brand is rotten, the brand itself gets rotten. And also the culture. For you to build everything, you have to, okay, on the culture thing, it's also a different topic altogether because culture is everything to us. So that when you see the brand, you must be seeing the culture.
True.
Not even the product. You know yourself. I don't want to mention institutions, but you know of banks. Let me use banks. You know that if I go to bank A, I'll queue for loan. I go to B, I'll be served very fast. Where will you go back very fast?
The one with efficiency.
Yes, efficiency. But if you look at it, it's culture. Yes. So on colors, those are the things which we learned in school when I was back to school. So we chose colors based on the knowledge now about which are good colors. Like when I look around, you chose my colors here.
Okay.
Yes. So, and the brand by the end of the day is everything now, because you have to protect your brand at all cost. It is your nerve center. So if a customer complaint is raised and you are not handling it, know that you are killing your brand. And a research was done by a banking institution that when you lose one customer, there's what you call customer lifetime value of a customer. So in that lifetime value of a customer, one customer you lose 250.
In every customer.
Lifetime value. So there's a bank which lost me. So if I'm to ask you, how many people have I referred to the bank which I am in now, or how many? All our employees are in the same bank. So that research was right.
It makes sense.
It makes a lot of sense. Even you, the people whom, okay, there's a difference between losing someone in the right way and also, you know, like I can transfer. Or I can just see I have so many accounts, I'm closing my account, I relocated. But there's that customer who was left because of a bad service, a customer whom you have stolen from, or a customer who has been neglected. If he walks away and when he hears about your brand, he says, uko, hata bila kusema kitu. Kuna mtu anasema uko, kwa dandan, hata asemi, you'll not even say, that's more dangerous. Afadhali hata mwenye anasema, what happened? But then I say, you keep on asking yourself, what is that?
What was the reason?
What was the reason? This guy, they must have done him a disservice of high quality. So branding by the end of the day is a big topic. In fact, I did that one as my research now.
Okay.
Yes, in both undergraduate and masters. So branding is so massive. Companies work around the clock to build and protect their brand.
Okay.
That's why we are even in a company whereby we do, it's called Test Enterprises Limited. We do lubricants. We are distributors of Shell brands, but it's Vivo. They really protect their brand. They protect their brand. You cannot market anything on their brand because the responsibility, the backstops are them. So brand protection is something very key. Okay. Either you are small or you're big. Even if you're a mamboga, yes, you steal from a customer, you have killed your brand completely. And it borders the line of trust. People lose trust in you, and they'll refer others.
Okay. Now, before we take a very short break, CK, now we'll be talking also about marketing, which is something that any other big business always have a budget for the same. And then also we'll talk about succession at some point, and also how we transition our business to the next generation. But before we go there, I think I'll just acknowledge 1, 2, 3 people who are reading, and then we'll take a very short break, then we come back. The comments are quite many. I don't know which one to read. Just to sample a few. This is Eliud Kipchumba saying, following up great minds and entrepreneurship skills. We have Boz, we're saying, is following up from Kabarneten's Boz. I'm glad I was a team player at one time. Great experience. And then Simiu is saying, great conversation, keep winning. We have Beatrice Chemurgo, who is watching. the tune from EMC, so inspirational. Kanairo to Koloked. Then also Beto is saying you inspire Babalala. Keep winning. Wishing you God's speed.
Thank you.
We have Dinoshas who is saying great interview. Kevin Tuwe is saying my mentor. And then we also have Kosgei Sami is saying live watching from Kimumu, Wasingishu, great work. Robito is saying that it is sinking deep. And then also we have Kichumba Songoko is saying thank you, sir, for acknowledging the role of accountants in business growth. And then Alex Kapticho is saying great interview. Raymond Talam saying my boss, my mentor. We have Wilfred Kosgei saying tie ole tie with resale power. And then Henry Mungashu is saying Collins watching you from Kikuyu. And then also we have a number of, we'll be sampling up some questions which are here. Then Valerie is saying accountants, we are locked here. Sammy Murgon, my mentor, a great show, Mr. Collins. And then we have Joseph Melu is saying, great show, I am late, but finally have joined Mr. Collins Kibet Boinett. It's a great man. I admire his simplicity and professionalism in his work. Diesel power is always the best. We have Samson Samoy is saying 30% is possible. Philippians 4:13 saying also the rule of time management should be considered. Amoki is saying this is what Herman Amoki, I think you know him, is talking about quality fuel all the way. I appreciate the service I get all the time. The inspirations are quite many. We also have who is watching here. We also have Senator Cherargei Kiprotich, who is also watching tonight. Welcome, Senator. Yeah. And then Amai saying very inspirational. Samson Samoe, Reverend, saying that QQMA have to be our motto in doing well. I think also we'll say something about that. And then at Nairobi, Makadara area, enjoying the show, and many other. Please, if you have a question, please bring it forward to Mr. CK. Will also be answering, and also will also be responding in the course of this particular interview. Then Laban Tanu is saying, since Wakulima, we benefit a lot from your company and many more. Keep inspiring. We'll be back shortly after this particular break, and then also we response to some questions that we are getting, and not forgetting to tackle 1, 2, 3 issues. Our time is much spent, but this is not a loss. Very inspirational, very educative. You can't get it anywhere else but on the CEO show. We'll be back shortly.
Baraka sana, nasikia nimebarikiwa sana. Yes. Tunatakia mema diesel power hii. Mungu aibariki siku zote. Tunawakaribisha wote ambao watakuja wanafuel hapa. Hapa kuna neema ya kutosha na baraka ni nyingi sana. Karibuni sana, naitwa Pastor Edwin Korir. Kanisa ni IC Township na pia ni chaplain wa Chebisas Boys, the National School. God bless you. Welcome one, welcome all.
here with Colin, team leader of Diesel Power, and we are unveiling a new brand, a new design for them. So we are so privileged to be here, and we want
Business.
Okay, first and foremost,
Creative talks, CEO insights, success stories, value markets, and financial education. This is the CEO Show. Hosted by Dan.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. This is the CEO Show that comes to you every Tuesday from 7:30 to 9. And our guest tonight is none other but the founder and the CEO and also the team leader of Diesel Power Limited. And this is a conversation that you can't afford to miss, and the nuggets are very amazing. Before we go back to CK, just to acknowledge our friends on YouTube who are coming in. Festus Kiprono is saying, well represented, Diesel Power forever. Robinson Boinett to Kohapa. Then following, God bless CK. Watching, this is Festus Kiplagat saying, Salamia, my former boss. And then Michelle from Eldoret Troopers, Michelle Kylie. Monica Niema is following and watching live from Nandi County, Kabujo. This is Ancherop. Evans Keeley is following live. Collins is an inspiration. Also, we have Philemon Kandi who is saying the man of power. Watching from Elgonview, Cherotich Jenny. We have Mutisha all the way from Predician Enterprise and many more. And then we also have James Nyambeki all the way saying that James Morara all the way from Kisii who is also watching, and many more that are still. We just talked and we're talking about branding before now we go to marketing, but you just mentioned that you're not on Facebook. Why?
Okay, if I may say, in marketing we're called laggards. Those are people who are slow to adapt. So I'm on Twitter.
Okay.
But
if you're on Twitter, you're not slow.
Yeah, I'm not slow. But
Yes.
I understand Facebook is the leading.
Okay.
I think followed by Facebook is leading, followed by WhatsApp, then Twitter, I think.
Yeah.
Then TikTok, something like that.
Okay.
But I know Facebook is the leading in terms of social media.
Okay. Now, I want to also, as a company, you've invested a lot in marketing and pushing your brand outside there because it's a critical thing in marketing. Any other big and a serious company and even small companies should take a keen look at their marketing strategies and also having a budget for marketing. How important is it putting your brand outside there in regard to marketing? Because I've seen you working with notable personalities, icons in entertainment, in music, and what have you. What is it that prompts you to push your brand in marketing?
Okay,
And being a scholar also.
in marketing, thank you for that, is what I did in my research. There's what we call brand endorsement.
True.
So mostly, if you don't have celebrity endorsements, your brand may not be noticed fast. That's why you find personalities who are like Eliud Kipchoge being held so tightly with Isuzu is because his brand is a celebrity and he's moving mountains, especially for Isuzu. And many other brands. So what I learned personally is that if you don't endorse your brand in the market, especially using now those celebrities whom we're talking about, it will be a bit difficult for you to penetrate the market. So it's very keen for you to put a budget, although most companies, when you hear marketing, especially when you combine marketers and accountants, they don't go hand in hand because marketers are spenders.
True.
And accountants have to take care of the cash flow. But the benefits in marketing are more. In fact, we should really, or people who are watching or following, should really invest. If you have even a small business, do marketing. When you talk about branding, even writing your name, putting there Mama Sarah Fruits, makes a difference from someone who has no brand. Like even fish. When you go to Kogelo Fish, there is that lady in Nairobi, she's very famous because of her fish. And celebrities go there. Mark Zuckerberg went there, had fish, all these top personalities. And you see she has used that endorsement to endorse a brand that even when you're in Nairobi, you'd like to go and have fish there. And it's just normal fish. I've gone there and it's just the normal fish. So we need to put more emphasis on marketing and give them budgets. Because you cannot also be wanting results and you're not supporting your team. Yes.
Okay, what informs you to work with so and so and not so and so when it comes to now endorsements?
Of course, you go to the following. You look at people who has more following,
Okay.
especially
The numbers,
on social media. Yes.
numbers don't lie.
Yes, numbers don't lie. Even our local people like in Sengelena around here, we have been using him as our brand ambassador. And you'll be shocked that he has quite a number of following.
Okay.
Being a local person, yes, we have those celebrities. My friend like in Churchill, they have strong following. Yes, but for locally, we normally look at those people who have more influence.
Okay.
They are also the authority.
And how do you measure the result?
The metrics are tricky, but the end results now, when you look at it holistically,
Okay.
when you look at your numbers, when you look at your data, because we have been keeping records from, like now we have the past 5 years. We know our ups and downs. So when you analyze, you realize that even when you do what you call activation, whenever we have 3 shillings activation, we always call Senga Helena to come and do for us the activation. And to your surprise, the sales normally go up.
Okay.
Yes, it works.
Okay.
Yes.
So it's something that people should consider and invest and have that mentality.
Activation. They should activate their product.
Okay.
Even you have never seen you activating this show.
Okay.
If I'm asking you.
So it's a learning process.
Yeah, okay.
So it means that we have to do that.
We have to do, yeah, it's
and
good.
we'll definitely see the results.
Yes, you'll see the results.
Okay.
Even today, maybe this part of activation.
Okay. And probably we are taking that road, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes.
But now, talking about now as a brand, this is something that you've been doing for quite a number of years. Do you, as a risk, because I can read that you are a risk taker, but do you think you have all your eggs in one basket, or about diversification now? Is it something that you do, or how are you planning to have something different from diesel power, if that is?
Thank you so much for that question. I had read somewhere, which almost misled me. It was someone who said, put your eggs in one basket and watch them closely. Not even one will break. And I went nose
You
diving.
tried that.
But in 2022, all our taps ran dry in 1st April.
You regretted?
Dry. You have trucks, you have people, no fuel. Then I remembered we learned about diversification. So now, but when you're down there, it's very hard to diversify. When you're flat down, you cannot pick up, just like someone who's running in a race. And then you have to train before going for the race. So it's in the pipeline. We have gone into CK's, coffee house. We have a coffee house place whereby you're our customer. We have a small mini mart there. And we're looking at many more now to come, because we're really trying to see how can we mitigate our risk.
Okay.
Because we realize that the same problem which got me in 2008 can still come back. Maybe in a different form now.
Okay.
Because there are government policies. There are so many things which change within a night, and you realize that your industry where you are in can be closed. Like, if I give you an example, people who are manufacturing paper bags before the government stopped. What happened?
They were doing good, then all of a sudden
They closed.
They closed.
What happened to their mega investments?
It went down the
Yes,
drain.
it went down the drain. So it is in our pipeline. We are working on it, on diversifying. We'd like to do other things. Of course, we have gone to real estate, but real estate, the returns are very slow. Not like
Because the
business.
investment is massive.
It is massive. Yes.
Okay.
And it's more of long term.
Okay.
So, but real estate is the ultimate.
Okay.
For anyone, I always recommend real estate.
Okay. Now, talking about the same now, for example, the restaurant that is CK's, you went and invested and erected the building yourself. Now, comparing now, there is a school of thought that always think that leasing is the better way to go, and there are some who believe that when you talk about real estate, it's better to invest and build. What do you think is the line of now drawing, leasing and buying and building your home?
If you can balance, it's good normally to build your own. Because if you're looking at 200 years from now, if I'm asking the owners of this building, their vision will outlive them.
True.
But if you are leasing a space, if things change, if I want to chase you, I just increase rent. I have a friend who was doing very well, Even you can be careful here when you do well. You can realize maybe the landlord tells you, okay, fine, I'm sorry, there's a letter here, we're increasing our rent by X amount of money.
Very true.
So it will kick you out of business. So, but when you are owning, you are in charge. You can even change, you can even lease out, because that's still a permanent investment.
Okay.
Even if this is and once you have real estate, even as when people look at our business, they may think it's energy. It's not energy. Part of it is real estate. You can convert that into be something else.
Very true.
Yes. If in future we have solar cars, electric motorbikes, you can convert it and sell mandazi and
do something else.
And do something else.
Okay. Talking now about curating a generational kind of transition in terms of business, that's something that will outlive you. And by you mentioning that by building, it means that it will move to the next, because probably even the return of an investment might not come handy in some few years.
You might not see it.
You might not even see it.
Yes.
Talk about real estate. But yourself, you've been very keen, now transitioning from your father to yourself. And probably now, where is the role of, at some point I see your family playing a very critical role in this business. Where is the place of family in running a business, and to see to it that also your children in the next generation and also in the future play a critical role? How do you plan it? Because it's something that we've seen basically with us Africans. We always have a challenge handing over, because sometimes somebody will say that I cannot write my own will when I'm still healthy. But yourself, you seem to practice transition and also handing over to the next generation.
Okay, to this I should give credit to my dad, Mr. William Boinett, because he embedded those things in us, as in the culture of the work ethic first, learning to work. You see, the generation that we have now, we may want to reap without working. So number one, we trained in working with our own hands. So once you have that culture of working, it's easier to train others to work. And I always appreciate my daughter. She has a term which she always says that people should learn to work and make clean money, you know. So Sandra has been saying that over and over, and I appreciate it. So once you teach your children, of which our dad taught us on how to be honest. By the way, I'm a product of my father. I was a bit janja because, you know, teenagers, you'd like to make money very fast.
Very true.
But he put me online. And
it was tough on you.
Yeah, it was tough on me. In fact, at some point, I was thinking of becoming a rebel, because it's like, but later on, I learned that he was training me the right way.
Okay.
So on succession now is that we have been training also them. When they would close school, they would come and sell fuel. On working, they have learned how to work. On going to school, they have gone back to school. So you see, it becomes easier, and you make them own, and you communicate to them the future.
Okay.
Because all human beings we're all mortal beings. No one is immortal.
Very true.
So we should know that these things you have to hand over. And the hardship which I got of selling in drums, you should not say, hata nyinyi tafuta kama kula ngumu. No. They should have a softer landing and learn business and do it the right way, be compliant. So when they are coming, we are getting phased out slowly. Slowly. In fact, my desire is that as time goes, who knows, in the next 20 years, I could be maybe on salary.
Okay.
In my company. I might not do those years. For what?
Now, CK, I'm very keen also to note this, that we find that our parents probably, speaking now to the current day or the day parents, we find that sometimes we tend to have these, we pump our children. But at the end of the day, we don't want to be hard on them. At the same time, we want to make them responsible. How did you draw that line and ensuring that your kids become responsible, and also teaching them now, like what your daughter is saying, work hard, make clean money, and not, because at some point it means that you are giving them the independence to make the decisions and learn the right way. How do you now draw the line without overexposing them and also overgiving them too much, but again, making them responsible?
Number one, someone said you can't have your cake and eat it.
True.
So you cannot have the pleasures and still work hard. Opportunity cost, you must forgo one. So even them, they have forgone part of the luxuries that they should have had for future. So like even us, we never had time or the luxury of having fun because we'd work late hours. By 7 o'clock you're at work. By 8 is when you're closing. And you see that work ethic is what can build you. One of my friends one day found them selling at the pump. They'd closed school. He told me, Collins, this is child labor. I told him, take that one to your home, my friend. I know what I'm doing. After all, these guys are just here for a few hours, then they go home. So we sometimes baby them a lot, thinking that we love them, but in reality, we are killing them. We are killing them, especially when you give them everything. Yes, we have a small girl, and I always tell her, I don't have money. At every in fact, she knows I have no money, so they should always know that you are broke at every given time. Yes.
Okay.
So that you want to make them feel comfortable, and then in future they suffer. They would rather suffer early, work hard, and live comfortable in their sunset years.
Later. Okay. Now, do you think there is a gap in the current parenting? Because we have a lot of young people are going through depression. Some are even committing suicide. As a father and as a parent, do you think there is a gap in the current generation?
A huge one. There is a huge one because number one, we are not close to our children. Number two, we don't involve them in our daily affairs because involvement is one of the first things to win them. When you involve them even in communicating even a journey. You know, like you, I cannot tell you now, can we go? We are going where? We are dealing with a very sensitive generation again.
Very true.
They are digital. So we need to learn to communicate to them of where the future is, show them what's right and what's wrong, have time with them, because social capital, in fact, this generation is of social age. They may not even want your salary, but they may want to work in an environment whereby they're enjoying working. So we don't even understand them because the key thing is understanding them.
True.
We may want them to do this and they don't want. So, or we may want to look for them a job. In fact, my first principle I always tell parents, don't bring your child ati unamtafutia kazi. Let the child look for the job, him or herself.
True.
And they'll value it. So the gap is parents are far from the children and we think they have big bodies, they're mature. They're not mature yet. So they need a lot of coaching, they need a lot of mentorship whereby you talk to them. Even if you're from a single parent, talk to your child, tell them this is right, this is wrong. Show them how to read books, let them read. Because reading culture also is gone from this generation.
True.
So how will they learn if they're not reading? And yet the only thing even me I can live for 400 years is a book. If I write a book, it will go to generations.
True.
Yes, but these things like buildings, though, they can go.
Okay. Now talking about what you call balancing, life balance. Talking about you are a busy person running all these businesses and you're talking about now giving your family time. As a person, how do you balance the same running all this and also still creating time for your family? Are you that systemic person who knows that by this time I should be? And basically, how does your day look like?
Thank you for that. I remember even for us to have this show, it took you a lot of time because
Very true.
we're all habits, as I mentioned earlier. And the habits which we do, it's like when you're tying a sisal or a rope. The more you tie it, the more harder it becomes. And we all have 24 hours. Even Bill Gates, he has 24 hours.
True.
What we do with the 24 hours is where the problem is. Like today I had to forgo my exercise, my gym, to make sure that I come here. Otherwise, if I had gone to the gym, I would not have made it here.
True.
So my basic morning, I wake up at 5 in the morning, go for devotion, prayer. After prayer, dress up, go to work. By 6:30, I'm at work. Not mainly the head office, but I drive around at least, go to one station, catch up with the staff, and have a feeling of what's happening in the morning. Then go to head office by 8, do the planning, and we normally invest in the 80-20 rule. So that I spend 20% of my time in planning, so that my mornings, you cannot get me anytime between morning up to 10 o'clock. That's where my brain is thinking.
You're active.
I'm active, I'm investing, I'm thinking. I'm planning for the day and even for the week or the month. So from 10 now, I belong to you guys now.
Okay.
Yes.
When you're not working, what else do you do? When you're not an employee of Diesel Power, what else do you do?
Of course, we have a small farm. I go to the farm, of which I've not gone for some time. But I'm engaged. At times I go to the restaurant, sit, socialize. Yes, but most of my time is very programmed.
Okay.
Because by 5 o'clock, I'm off to the gym.
Okay.
After gym, home. Now that's when I'm telling you, create night time for family. So that by 7:30, and I really value that time because I don't want to find the small girl asleep. At least when I find her asleep, I don't feel well.
Okay. So at least by 7:30 you should be home.
I should be home.
Okay. Okay. Now, talking as we...
Then by 10, I'm in bed.
Okay.
I don't watch news.
Why?
Kenyan news are no longer news. You'd rather watch CNN.
So for how long have you been doing that?
For the longest time. In fact, there was a time we asked ourselves, is this TV working? Yes. So at least with these channels of YouTube and what have you,
Okay.
you make noise for you at least.
Okay.
But no much attention
Okay.
to the details.
Okay.
But I like movies once in a while. I followed Blacklist. Yes, Blacklist.
Okay.
And it was very interesting.
That is nice. But now, talking about now news and what is happening in the country and what have you, do you think the government is very optimistic in terms, because we've, over time we've been seeing, but currently we've seen a drop in prices of fuel. But do you think the government have the right policies to support, and especially to do as far as the HEPRA is there, and also do you think it has the right policies to support energy sector in the country, and where is the future?
If I may give some defense to the government, like prices are international. It is not. It's a macro environment whereby we have no control.
Very true.
In fact, as much as sometimes they subsidize, it is something beyond us.
Very true.
The government has really tried in exchange rate. There was a time it was 170 bob, almost going to 180. Now it has come down. That has eased the cost of living. Even the inflation rate, if you read the other day, it has really come down.
Very true.
So there's so much which is the government is really trying to put in place. But at times also the downside again of the government is they don't focus on employment. To me, they should be really focusing on creating people who generate wealth to create more employment, and they'll make taxes on payee and other things, other than trying to kill the businesses. Because at times you find that businesses are really pushed to the wall on over compliance, not compliance, over compliance, and then you chase the few people who are compliant on compliance checks, on taxes, instead of focusing more on how can you build. I've been doing research even in America. In America, they really value investors because they know that if you go there with $100 million, you will create employment and you will create jobs.
True.
You go to America, you find you find people asking for jobs as jobs available. Here in Kenya, you can never find that. So you find that our policies at times on employment, but on the other business environment, it's now picking up well. I think by next year things will be good.
Okay.
But this year things were tough. But the government should really focus more on developing the small people. When you say do this or do this or else, do this or else, you find even the small person who wants to grow chickens out and they don't want to invest.
Okay.
So people will take their money to fix deposit.
But now, CK, we have a challenge because it is on the public domain that a good number of businesses are closing down. And it's due to probably the environment that the government is providing, over taxation, as you mentioned, and also peer over compliance. Now, do you think what is the remedy to this? Because even now, as we are talking, we have friends. 1 to 3 people are closing business. Now, it is alarming. What is happening?
It depends now on those people who don't want to listen to the ground, because they should be listening to the small person. Because if you see the shift, for the first time, fixed deposits hit 2 trillion, which means people are taking money to fix in the account instead of investing. Even me as Collins, I think the best way is to fix my money. But in reality, if that money was in business, it would create more employment. And that more employment now would make more money for the government.
Money in circulation becomes...
More money in circulation, there is creation of employment. So the fiscal policy of this country should still need to be listened to, especially the business people. To me, the leadership should call even business people and have tea with them and ask them, how can we help you to create more employment? If I'm a startup, can you give me a break even for 2 years? But in this government, you have just started your business, there's a tax demand. You have not complied on this. Instead of teaching you, saying, okay, fine, you made a mistake here. Like me, of course, I'm seasoned. But a small person who is starting, they're already starting fearing to start a business. So there's a big gap in terms of policy, implementation, and what's happening on the ground. Otherwise, we are foreseeing, if it goes like this, because fixed deposit, you pay your taxes and you retain what is yours.
True.
Give you an example. Bank 10 million. You'll get maybe 15%. You invest that 10 million, you might get 8%. So why should you?
So you better fix it.
Better fix it.
It's true.
Yes.
And you don't have the stress of operations and what have you. At the end of the
so how will you create employment? And yet that 10 million would have created maybe 20 people or 30 people.
Very true.
So they should really look at the model of how do we encourage the business people, the small mama mboga person, instead of saying, oh, tunataka, we want to follow up to your till number. We want to follow this. That to me is irrelevant, because this person already, you want them to go where? To come and mug us. because there will be few people having money. Those will be compliant. Why will they enjoy?
And by the way, soon KRA will also be following up on our M-Pesa statement.
That's what I'm saying. Now you're following the small person.
Yeah.
That's why I'm worried about. I'm not worried about established people. But when you follow the small person, they'll close shop.
Okay.
When you close their pins, it means you're closing their future.
Thank you. Now, because time is much spent. Now, if you're not running Diesel Power, what other business can you be running? If it was not Diesel Power, what else can you be doing?
What I can be doing is that I can do missions for the church. I love serving God. So I would rather go to the mission field and visit missionaries and support mission work.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you. And then there is always a question that I always love asking. When was the first time that you first made your first million?
It was 1998.
1998?
Yes.
How was the feeling and how did you dispense?
There were so many problems in my mind. I needed a house, I needed a car.
Okay.
Yes.
Nice. I think also, because we still have like few minutes to close this, and these have a lot of topics, but now I think we'll need a part B of this conversation.
No problem.
Somebody is asking, how can you now, a new person, how can one invest in this particular kind of industry, a new startup, somebody who has interest in doing
energy?
What are some of the check and balances that one has to know?
They want to start.
Yeah.
If you want to start, I always recommend on one getting a ready station, which is existing. Sometimes someone has been mismanaged. Leasing now, your model now of leasing comes in easier than even building.
Okay.
Building takes a lot of time. The compliances are so many. There are almost 16 licenses. So to me, I always recommend, if you are a new entrant, go to an existing station. You can also, you can partner with a few friends, because sometimes also we're so selfish. We want everything, and the same thing I was telling you, can't have your cake and eat it.
Okay.
So that's the first, easiest entrance point
to get into
this
particular industry. Cherukwen Bayana, who is asking, great show. What advice can you have for hardworking maize farmers who have been toiling for years but remain poor? This is a question from one of our listeners.
I am part of in that mix. Even me, I'm a farmer, as I have mentioned to you.
Okay.
The only year which we saw money
Mm-hmm.
was last year, but one.
Mm-hmm.
But at the moment, we are thinking of diversification also.
Okay.
Tell them to try. It's good to try maybe coffee,
Mm-hmm.
try macadamia,
Mm-hmm.
try avocado.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's a high time we diversify.
Okay.
Because for you to see 1 million doing maize,
Mm-hmm.
even us next year, I don't think, unless my daughter does it,
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I'm doing maize next year.
Completely.
It is disappointing.
Uh-huh.
And the energy you put there, it's so much. Unless
There's
also
the challenges with prices currently.
but you can still also do value addition.
Mm-hmm.
Like the Kamal family, the Kilis family.
Mm-hmm.
They have
It's a whole chain.
Yes, they have the amazing, what do you call the amazing
Mfalme.
Mfalme.
Mm-hmm.
So if you can do value addition,
Mm-hmm.
to me, it can pay.
Okay.
Yes, but if you're not in charge of the whole value chain,
Mm-hmm.
you are disadvantaged.
Okay.
Mm.
Now looking to 10 years later, 15 years later, where do you see diesel power?
15 years from now, maybe I may talk of 10 years. 10 years is that we are desiring to expand as per our strategic plan. We have a strategy.
Okay.
So we would like to see how it rolls out. 10 years, we're seeing also a lot of diversification. In fact, we are thinking of going to other things, fast-moving consumer goods, think of doing a hardware. We're looking at other avenues
Okay.
of generating income.
Okay.
And then now 15 years is real estate. Yes.
Okay. That is now the future.
The future is real estate.
Okay. At what point will you retire?
It depends on which type of retire, because
From
I'm an
active
active
operations.
person. I'm an active person. I may not retire anytime soon, because I've seen people living active lives. I was following another mzee the other day. He's 107 years old or 108, and he's driving himself. And he's good at 107. So to me, I think I'll be active up to 80. But in terms of co-decision making, things of shareholding and what have you, by the time I'm 80,
Okay.
I should be a broke person. I should be depending on salaries,
Okay.
being paid by Knasandra.
Okay. Thank you. Just before you give us your winding remarks to aspiring entrepreneurs and also people who aspire to be in business, and also people who are in business, SMEs, and also talk of any kind of business. You'll be giving us a closing remark. Just to Simon Omi is saying great stuff. Following Paul Carroll, what advice would you give someone who wants to venture into oil business? I think you've answered the same. Also, Innocent saying tune in from Eldoret. Blessed Alano say good man. I've personally met him. May God bless his family. Then Simon Martin saying CK, a face of resilience, hard work, determination, and simplicity. Also, we have Chipkimoy Magdalene, who's watching from Eldo Hub. We have Jude Murino, who is saying watching regards to CK. We have Tirop DK, who's also watching. All the best, Boinett, Isaac Chepseba, Cherukwena, I think we've answered your question. Paul Correa, great mind in the house. Judith Jones, who is saying great mind in the house. Robert Rono, such a great gentleman. Paul Bore, what's the minimum amount you need to start up a fuel station? I think also you'll answer that in your closing remark. And then also Gilbert Arafsang was saying, Boma Alumni, you make us proud. Today I have learned many things. You are a Boma Alumni?
Yes, sure.
Okay, so am I. That makes sense.
That's why we connect.
We connect. And also Chomberi Tranu is saying, watching live from Kipsigak. Mark Morrison Bered saying, let the child seek the job, they will value it. That is on point, CK. Dennis Kipchumba watching. Dennis Kipchumba, say hi to my elder brother. Cheriot Wesley Kipruto is also watching. Jonathan Kibi, great show. Dan Dungu, I don't watch Kenyan news. It's poisonous. It drains. That's a take home. Congratulations, Diesel Power, Kimengich Nehemiah. Good work, Diesel Power team. I think we have a lot of Cherukwan saying 5 a.m. club members, don't watch news or waste time scrolling silly videos. This is another one. And Amos Mungo, who is saying great insights and many more. Temdele is saying that I'm poor when it comes to saving. How can I improve on that? I really want to see myself grow, and many other that are coming in. Just as you give your final remarks, I think we've had to...
Let me answer two.
Yeah, okay.
The minimum,
The minimum amount.
even with $1 million,
Okay.
you can start
You're good to go.
a station even outside town.
Okay.
And I forgot to mention, don't come to the CBD. In towns, there are big shacks.
Very true.
Start from the small centers. That's how we started them coming in.
Okay.
Yes, and there is another lady, she asked.
Oh, we're saying about savings.
Savings.
Avoid
Savings is about a culture. And someone said if you cannot save a dime from $1, you cannot even save $1 million from $1 billion.
True.
And also the same thing to
It's a
giving.
culture.
Even giving. I forgot to mention philanthropy. It's also good to learn to give.
Okay.
So that even if you make more, give more. Yes, especially to the kingdom, to the church, and
the society at large.
And the society at large.
Okay.
Yeah, but first things first, factoring in kazi ya Mungu kwanza.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Now, this is your camera. Give us your closing remark to the aspiring business people and also people running business.
Thank you so much for watching, and it has been good having you guys. I believe let's keep hope alive. Our environment is still better than Sudan, so Kenya is still a good country to invest in. Despite the challenges of politics, despite the challenges of policies, I still believe Kenya is a very good country, a beautiful country. And let's still also embrace our country. And if possible, let's be patriots. Buy Kenya, build Kenya. Most of us, we don't build our local brands. I highly humbly request you that let's buy our local people, let's buy our local brands, so that when we grow, our money stays here, not multinationals whom their money goes outside the country. So I believe we have learned something, and you are free to take my number from my brother here on his line. In case of any clarity, we can still side chat and we'll have a better tomorrow. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, CK, for coming through the show. It is humbling.
Not, sir.
Don't take it for granted.
Not CEO, not sir. Collins.
By the way, why do you like you ignore salutation very well?
I don't like them. It's called external power. A topic for another day. Yes.
We'll come and discuss about that.
Sure.
Thank you, my brother, for coming to the show.
Thank you
It's
so
been a wonderful experience, and also the insights that you've shared. I believe it goes a long way to our viewers tonight, and we really appreciate it. Don't take it for granted. Say hi to your family.
I will.
It's always an amazing time having you. We need to have a part B of this.
Sure.
Thank you so much.
Thank
Ladies
you.
and gentlemen, remember, this was the CEO show. And what is it that you've learned tonight from our guest? I think a lot of nuggets have been coming in handy. Personally, I've learned something, that we don't buy product, we buy people. That is something that it is a take home. What is it that you've learned tonight? Make sure that you contribute on the comment section for us to know what is your take home tonight. And remember, our guest also will be in a position to respond to some of your comments, and also some questions that we didn't manage to ask him directly. We'll be keeping this conversation going on even after this particular podcast. Remember that we always come to you every Tuesday from 7:30 to 9. And next week, we are going to have also another amazing guest prepared for you. You can't afford to miss. Make sure that you always share this conversation, and also make sure that you tag people to be part of this conversation. The question that we asked tonight, have you subscribed our YouTube channel? Make sure you do, and also make sure you share. We are looking forward to have you again next week, same time, same place. Remember, I was your host, Dan. May you have a good night, and may God bless you. Thank you.
Baraka sana, nasikia nimebarikiwa sana. Yes. Tunatakia mema Diesel Power hii. Mungu aibariki siku zote. Tunawakaribisha wote ambao watakuja wanamkiwa hapa. Hapa kuna neema ya kutosha na baraka ni nyingi sana. Karibuni sana. Naitwa Pastor Edwin Korir. Kanisa ni IC Township, na pia ni chaplain wa Jebisas Boys, the National School. God bless you. Welcome one, welcome all.
My name is Mike from Mike Solutions. Today we are privileged to be
Pioneering and inspiring entrepreneurs. Creative talks, CEO insights, success stories, value markets, and financial education. This is the CEO Show. Hosted by Dan. Business Minds, pioneering and inspiring entrepreneurs. Creative talks, CEO insights, success stories, value markets, and financial education. This is the CEO Show. Hosted by Dan. Business Minds, pioneering and inspiring entrepreneurs. Creative talks, CEO insights, success stories, value markets, and financial education. This is the CEO Show.